Hey everybody, let's just talk for a minute. No pressure, no pretending, just real talk. Have you ever felt like you're not really sure who you are anymore? I mean, you're showing up every day, doing what you're supposed to do, but something's just off. Like you've been so many versions of yourself for so many people, you don't even know which one is the real you. You know that feeling. There's a name for that feeling, and it's called identity confusion. And this can truly stop you from loving yourself. Because if you're confused about who you are, how do you know which one of you to love? So grab yourself a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, have a seat, and let's talk about identity confusion right here on A Different Choice.
Oh, you gotta love yourself. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Hey, you gotta love yourself. Just letting you know, you got to love yourself.
Hello everyone, and welcome to A Different Choice. My name is James, and I'll be your host. Identity confusion. It happens to more people than you think. You know, life will do that to you. Responsibilities, relationships, expectations. You start adjusting and adapting, and before you know it, you're living a life that doesn't really feel like yours. Sometimes it looks like this. You overthink simple decisions. You second guess yourself a lot. You feel different depending on who you're around. Or you say yes when you really want to say no. And every now and again, you just feel a little lost. Am I talking to somebody out there? But here's the thing I want you to understand. You're not broken. You're just disconnected. Somewhere along the way of life, you drifted from what really matters to you. Your values, your voice, your sense of direction just got lost. And that can happen slowly. You don't even notice it at first. But slowly over time, you're getting into work responsibilities, home responsibilities, married with children. You know, sometimes the original you gets missing. Now we want to correct that because it's hard to love yourself when you're nowhere to be around, nowhere to be found. So let's take a look at how to get our identity back, and let's do it one step at a time. The first step is this. Slow down and check in with yourself. What actually matters to you right now. Not what used to matter to you, and especially not what other people expect. But what matters to you? What do you care about right now? What feels important in your heart? When your identity feels blurry, your values become the compass. I'm not talking about the values that you inherited, but the values that speak to the version of you that you're trying to be. See, when you slow down and think about it, think about what matters to you, it pulls you out of autopilot. You know, doing the same things because you've always done it that way. It pulls you out of people-pleasing and survival modes. And it brings you back to the present moment, the only place where identity can actually be rebuilt. Also, this first step helps you separate your identity from roles and titles. Think about roles and as temporary and identity as eternal. So slow down and check in with yourself and see what actually matters to you right now. The second step is this. Be honest about what's really yours. This is one of the most liberating and confronting steps out of all of them. Because this is where you stop carrying around everything you've been taught to hold and start discerning what actually belongs to you. This step is about ownership. It's about boundaries. It's about truth. It's where you stop confusing inherited expectations with authentic identity. Because some of the beliefs you're carrying, some of the expectations you're trying to meet, they might not even belong to you. Maybe it's from some of your friends or co-workers and you were trying to fit in. And it's okay to question that. It's okay to say, I don't think this is me anymore. Before you can rebuild who you are, you have to sort through what you've been dragging around. Most people don't realize how much of their identity is actually family expectations, cultural pressure, church roles, survival strategies, childhood conditioning, unspoken obligation, other people's needs, and even old versions of themselves. This step is the moment you stop and you say, what part of this is actually mine? So take your time in this step also. Step number 3, start listening to your own voice again. This is where step number 2 is loud, and now your own voice is getting ready to get loud because your inner voice never really disappears. It just gets quiet. And even if it's quiet at first, it's eventually going to get loud. But when you begin listening to your own voice, it will slowly come back. Listening to your voice helps you separate identity from expectation. This is where you start noticing the difference between what you want versus what you've been taught to want. What you feel versus what you're supposed to feel. And what you value versus what others value for you. Those are very important. Maybe that looks like journaling. Maybe that looks like being honest in small conversations. Maybe that it's finally setting a boundary that you've been avoiding. And you don't have to do it perfectly. All you have to do is start. Identity confusion clears when your voice becomes louder than your conditioning. So number 2, be honest with what's really yours. And then with number 3, listen to your own voice. And I'm telling you, it'll come back. And finally, number 4, try to line your life up with what you're discovering. What I mean is, if something matters to you, make space for it, make time for it. And if something doesn't feel right anymore, guess what? It's okay to step back from it, let it go. Little changes matter more than big promises. And this can be difficult because up to this point, you've been slowing down, telling the truth, listening to your own voice. Now comes the step that actually changes your life, bringing your outer world into agreement with your inner world, bringing it into agreement with who you are becoming. See, this step forces you to confront the gap between who you are and how you're living. Identity confusion often comes from living a life that no longer fits the person that you're becoming. And give yourself some grace while you're figuring it out. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to make mistakes. And this is important because for some reason, we don't extend grace and forgiveness to ourselves. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. That doesn't make you inconsistent. That makes you human. Listen, here's something simple you can try. Grab yourself some paper and write this down. Write, I am not, and then fill in the blanks after that. Write down what no longer fits you. And after you get done with that, I want you to write this. I am. And then finish that sentence with what feels true right now. And as many lines as you want to fill out. And then after that, put down I am becoming. And then write down who you're growing into. And just be honest with yourself. And remember, this is what you're going to be, not what someone else thinks you should be or desires you to be. This is all about you. And if your faith is part of your life, remember this. Your identity isn't based on your past or your mistakes. It's not based on what people think about you. There's something deeper holding you. You're not just figuring life out on your own. There is a higher power that's helping you. So don't rush this, because you don't have to have all the answers today. Just keep showing up honestly and showing up with yourself. Keep choosing what feels true and moving a little closer to yourself each day. And remember, you're not lost. You're just in the middle of becoming. And that's actually a really good place to be, because you're getting ready to discover yourself all over again. And to me, that's exciting. Some folks may say, you should have been there already. You're this many years old and you ain't there yet. But don't worry about what others say, because when it's all said and done, the only one who will be with you 24/7 is you. And that's the one you have to live with. You might as well as be sure to please that person. And whatever your title is where you work, remember your mama didn't name you that. There's a person behind that title that still has hopes and dreams and an identity. So don't lose that person. That person, that young person, that you don't lose that person behind the title. Well, that's it for this week. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you get out there and discover, or should I say, rediscover the real you. So until next time, take care of yourself, forgive yourself, and of course, love yourself. And we'll see y'all next week right here on A Different Choice. Have a good time exploring yourself again. Bye-bye.
Ooh, you gotta love yourself. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Hey, you gotta love yourself. So letting you know, you got to love yourself.